Welcome. We're here to discuss bringing communities together through seed. My name is Katie and I work for the Gaia Foundation Seed Sovereignty Programme. And just to let you know, like while you're all arriving, you should all be blanketed muted. So, but when we do call on you to like take part in the discussion, then when you're asked to, feel free to unmute yourself and speak. If you would like to, then you could change your Zoom name, the name that displays to everybody, to the group or the seed initiative that you're from, just so that everybody can see who else is in the room. Yeah, and then so the idea of this workshop is that we were going to have a kind of informal roundtable discussion, and we wanted to all kind of share experiences about community seed initiatives. But because we've had such an amazing amount of people sign up to this workshop, which is really exciting, we may not get a chance for everybody to speak. So, you know, please bear with us. And if we don't call on you to speak, we apologise, and we really want to hear from you. But we just maybe won't have time to hear everybody's voice. We have planned this session that for the first half, we will have 3 community seed initiatives that we've kind of invited to speak to us and share their experiences. And then for the second half, we will be going into breakout rooms. So there will be a chance for some of you to talk to other people in the room, because that's the idea of this session, and to be able to like discuss some of the challenges and some of the things that you need going forward in terms of running your community seed groups and seed initiatives. And then we'll have a chance to come back and do some feedback as well. So we're hoping for this to be as interactive as possible. But yeah, we will start with some kind of brief structured sharing. And then also this session is being recorded. So just so you know, if you're going to be speaking or on camera, you are being recorded. So yeah, welcome. Ali, if we could have the next slide. And then I'm going to pass Fortune, who's just going to talk to us a little sovereignty program. And Charlie, it's the next slide. Yeah, that's perfect.
Great, thanks, Katie. Yeah, first to say thank you so much. We were slightly terrified and very excited at the same time when we found out how many people were joining this session. We had plans to just have a wee chat with the community seed groups, and that's not possible because there are so many people here. So like Katie said, we'd love to hear from all of you. We've structured it in a way that we hope people will get to chat and share their experiences with each other and then feedback to the overall group. But there are going to be lots of opportunities for more discussions in the future. So this is just the start. So please don't be upset if we don't get to hear from you. Drop your coordinator a line. There are coordinators all over the UK and Ireland. So please go to our website, seedsovereignty.info, and get in touch with your local coordinator. But for now, we want to get the ball rolling in terms of presenting some of the community groups who have already done brilliant work, and there are many more I can see from people commenting, many more who are in the chats who aren't presenting but have still done amazing work, and just see where we go from here. So I'll stop, sorry Katie, I'll stop repeating everything you've just said, and tell you a tiny bit about the Seed Sovereignty Programme. So I'm the Programme Manager. The programme has been running since 2017, and at the moment we're in our second phase, which runs 2020 to 2023. June 2023, and we are hoping that we will continue longer than that as well, but as you all know, everything depends on funding. For this next phase of the program, the first phase was very much about getting in touch with our networks, seeing what other community groups were already out there, seeing what commercial growers were out there, and you know, where the knowledge levels were and things like that. A lot of what we did and are still doing is focused on education. So all of the coordinators who are mostly in this chat today, they are offering training sessions for their networks. A lot of these training sessions are geared towards commercial growers, and by commercial we mean small scale market gardeners or community groups. Rather than individuals or you know, garden growers. Not that we don't love them as well, of course we do, and they play a very vital role in seed sovereignty, but in terms of scalability and really you know, working with the wider seed sovereignty movement, we found that we really needed to concentrate on training more people to produce seed on a larger scale. So education is still very much a part of what we do. That includes a formal training program. Again, if you go to our website, you can get information about where there's a training program near you. Obviously by near at the moment, given the current circumstances, I say that artistically, because all of our trainings are currently online, because that's the safest way of doing it. When it is safe to bring them back into person again, we will do so. In terms of the education, there's the training, there's also prototyping. So what we found is there are lots of gaps to the market in terms of equipment and things like that. So we're working with engineers to develop and redevelop and reverse engineer equipment and oak dehullers and all sorts of things that growers are saying they really need on a human scale, because obviously so much of our agriculture is commercial scale these days. Also, we're very much about connection, and that's what today is about. So connecting groups together, putting young fledgling groups in touch with groups who have walked the path before, partnering with the likes of Matthias from Let's Liberate Diversity and our international allies in the US and Canada and around the world, as well as other great organizations based in the UK and Ireland, like the Welsh Grain Forum or the Landworkers Alliance or the UK Grain Hub. There's a wealth of fantastic organizations that we're working in parallel with and walking the same path. So it's very important that we are communicating with them and working with them. In terms of celebration, I'm speaking to the choir here. I mean, seed is absolutely life-giving, and we want to celebrate that. Quite difficult at the moment, given that we can't bring people together physically. However, we do hope that in the near future we can again, and we're being quite creative about bringing things online and having those celebrations. So seed isn't just about the seeds themselves, it's about the culture, it's about the language, it's about the music, it's about the stories behind the people who are growing the seed, and we want to bring that out because it's so very much a part of who we are, and we don't want to lose any of that. And finally, we're doing a lot of work on advocacy, so on the legislation around seed, which is quite challenging. It's a bit more challenging at the moment because of Brexit and navigating that landscape as the regulations potentially change. But that's why international collaboration with allies is so important, to make sure that we are communicating with our partner organizations and our sister organizations in other countries. Grain especially is quite challenging at the moment in terms of legalities. And we have formed a small packet independent seed suppliers forum, which is a bit of a mouthful, with some of the small scale seed suppliers in the UK. Many of whom you'll know very well, just to make sure that those lines of communication are open and we're presenting a unified voice for agroecological open pollinated seed in the UK to DEFRA and AIFA. Without further ado, Katie, I'll hand it back to you to go on to the next section.
Sinead, so yeah, we're just going to hear now from Lampeter Seed Library. Yeah, would be happy to unmute yourselves, and Charlie, if you stop sharing this screen, then they can share their screen. Thanks.
Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Andrea from Lampeter Seed Library. I'm going to share this very brief presentation with Julia. So I'm going to start off by talking about why we decided to start a seed library. We're part of it came out of Lampeter Permaculture Group. We have a visioning day or a review day, whichever we want to call it, every year. And one of the ideas that came out was to start a seed library. And we're a library, not a bank. We want it to be something that's active so that the seeds are available for growing. The main drivers were basically, first of all, food security, because we wanted seeds that are adapted to our climate in West Wales, which is very specific. And our landscape. We are very wet and very hilly. So we were aiming to save local and heritage varieties that are no longer in catalogues, but not exclusively. We just want seeds that will grow around here. obviously open pollinated seeds that will breed true as long as the necessary isolation techniques are used where appropriate. And it's also slightly political. It's a fight back against the privatization and patenting and the idea of seed ownership. So our first steps, we thought if we're going to start a seed library, we really need to know a little bit about seed saving. So we aimed to initially gain the skills ourselves so that we could teach each other, we could teach others and run training courses for other people. We started off saving as much seed as we personally could to start the library, because obviously we were starting from zero. And we ran free seed saving workshops to get as many people saving seed as possible to start to stock the library. One of the main principles of our library is that it's free. Everything about it is free, because we want it to be inclusive. We don't want to exclude people because of monetary values or whatever. And we spent roughly 10 months working on the logistics of how we're going to house and how we're going to run the project. So I'll hand over to Julia now, and she will talk about how we actually do it.
This just shows some of the resources that we felt we needed to start up a seed library. Seed storage, packaging and labelling for the seeds, information for ourselves and also for the members of the library so they could develop their confidence, and obviously people willing to grow seeds. And just
losing you with the sound
to get going.
Yeah.
I'll carry on and hope that you can hear me if that's okay. Andrea, I'll share the next screen now if that's all right.
Okay. Back now.
Okay. Twice monthly in Lampeter, where we have seeds in a set of drawers. People can come and browse. We find that's excellent for conversations, and as the library is as much about networking and discussions and promoting people's learning and confidence. We encourage and try to train our members to save from their own crops so that they can donate seed back, but we don't make that a condition of membership. We just want as many people as possible to try growing something. So we assume that everyone has done their best to breed true, but we don't give any guarantees. Sometimes you get happy accidents from that. But we do quarantine any donations with silica gel just to make sure they're all fully dried before we. In Breakout, May 2017, we had no web presence. We just had an email and everything was on paper, again because we wanted to focus on local networks. Andrew's talked about the seed saving workshops. We try to run a basic one and also then one that goes into more depth on a sort of aspect. We're now 200 members. Last year, because of COVID, we actually had to move to being postal. We moved the whole library to one of our members' homes, and people, we sent out our seed stock list on email. People try email to say address to them back out. That's worked pretty well for withdrawals. We're still working a bit on donations. We now have 2 videos about starting a seed library, one of them with Morag Gamble, which was really exciting. And last year.
So Julia, your sound 5 minutes is kind of up now for your bit. So I'm sorry, we didn't quite catch the last bit. I'm also getting messages that there's been an issue with the Zoom room, which is capped at 100 people. and there was more than 100 people signed up to attend this workshop. Can anybody tell me if we are now supposed to be moving to another?
So just to jump in there, Katie, apologies. Yeah, there was an issue with this room and they capped it at 100, but there are many more people who want to attend. So Siobhan, our handy dandy Oxford Rural Farming Conference volunteer, is working away in the background. She's creating a new link for a new Zoom room that will not have a 100-person cap. So it gives you a chance to stretch your virtual legs to move over to the next Zoom room. Apologies for that, but I think it is important that everyone who wants to attend this session can. So once again, apologies. The link will be in the chat very shortly. And if we can ask you just to move along to that room so that everyone can get a chance to hear and participate.
Very much, Julia and Andrea, for that summary of Lampeter Seed Library. Julia, we did catch up what you said. Some of it was cutting out, so yeah, thank you. I'll see you all in the next room in a moment. Okay, so let's move on to hearing from the London Freedom Seed Bank. I don't know if you're able to share your screen and unmute yourself, and then we'll see after that if we have to move rooms.
Great, yeah, thank you. Sophia and I want to speak a bit from the London Freedom Seed Bank, which is can you all see the screen already? Yes, great. Which is a network of London-based gardeners and food growers dedicated to saving, storing and sharing open pollinated seed in the city. And we emerged, I guess, in response to Vandana Shiva's 2020 call for a global seed freedom movement, calling on communities around the world to occupy and protect local seed stocks. And we work at the moment on about 4 different strands. The first is raising awareness about the politics of seed, the seed sovereignty movement, and the importance of seed saving as a response to that. And we do that through talks and film nights and community events. We also put a lot of effort into reskilling, so running workshops and trainings and so on to teach urban growers how to save seed in the city at quite a few different levels, so from complete intro to more experienced seed savers as well. And we have a seed library, a living seed collection. So we have about 30 or so dedicated seed savers who provide us with seed at the end of the year that we distribute for free at community events to all who want to grow food in London. And we wanted to share a bit with you about a project we've been working on, particularly in the last year. So I think Sophia wanted to share on that.
Yes, I just have to switch over to this here. So yeah, I'm going to tell you about our London Freedom Seed Base, which is can you all see my screen? Yeah, so this is our it's called the London Freedom Seed Base, but we also call it just the Airtable because the software we use is Airtable, and it's a really easy to use, free online kind of spreadsheet database, fun mix of a software. And we originally set it up at the beginning of the year. One of our steering group members set it up, and there's now a bunch of us working on it. And it originally started out as just a project that was about recording and tracking the seed that came into our network and the activity of the different growers. But since it's kind of morphed into a larger project of trying to record seed saving activity in London and to kind of also map out the different places where seed is being saved. And it's a really handy tool. So I'm going to show you a little bit through it. So this basically you have different views. So these are our varieties. So I'm going to scroll through and you can see some of our beautiful stock that we have in. But you can also look at it through batches. So batches are basically the different batches that an individual grower might send in a certain year. And so you can sort of trace what grower saved what seed and also then in what growing space. So with that, at the moment, it's all kind of in the process, but we're sort of hoping to also map the different growing conditions and what seed batches do well in what growing spaces, because as we know, London has very varied growing conditions. So that's kind of nice. And it's just a really beautiful kind of interactive space as well. So basically, if you're registered as a grower for us, which would mean you get some seed and then you ideally would grow it out and then send it back. And so we kind of at the moment are in the process of collecting an early seed, and then we'll hopefully send it out to our members then again in early January, late January. And so that would kind of help us map all these beautiful varieties. And like our varieties obviously are as diverse as like the London population, so it really reflects the different seed varieties and where they're being grown, which is really fun. And I'm really excited about it. It's basically just a way of making technology and data work for our movements and for our social activism, which is really exciting, especially for someone like me who's never engaged with database or data in any way that isn't very suspiciously. So it's a really fun thing to do. And you can also, so this is, for example, our grower view, and you have the different growers, and then you can see what varieties they grew out and what year and what batch they made, and where things were grown. And so by that, you can kind of map that out. So that's the London Freedom Seed Base. Just thinking if I've forgotten anything. Yeah, but it's just also like, it's not just about the physical seed, it's kind of morphed into the space where we're also gathering grower knowledge and growers' relationship with the seed. So there's like a field where growers can put in personal anecdotes or how they found growing that particular variety that year. So it's kind of a lot more personal, I guess. It's this kind of digitized space where people share their stories with the seed. And yeah, we're excited what it'll bring, where it'll grow. I think that's it. And I've got our contact details somewhere as well. Just get that up.
Yeah, we'd be really interested to hear from any other kind of similar groups or folks that are trying similar stuff with databases. It would be just great to have some exchange on that. So please do get in touch if so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So it seems that we now have 104 people in the room. So can I just have an update from ORFC that people can now join this room, or do we have to move?
No, Katie, they've increased the cap to 500, so we can stay put. You won't get to stretch your virtual legs, everyone, sorry, but at least we won't lose people. Unfortunately, we have lost a few people who probably tried to get in and couldn't, but we might be able to share the information afterwards somehow.
So to those of you arriving, welcome. I'm sorry you were shut out of the room. We've just heard from the Lampeter Seed Library and the London Freedom Seed Bank. And now I'm just going to ask.
Yeah, I suppose it's my turn. I couldn't hear you at the last sentence, but I think so. Hello, everyone. And thank you for inviting me here. So a special thanks go to Shinit that we get in touch last year. And I'm really grateful that nowadays in Brexit time and in the time where UK goes out from Europe, we take a bridge with Europe, and we are here presenting our organization. So probably many of you already knows us, but I would like to share. So we are from the European Coordination Let's Liberate Diversity. That it's an Belgium ISBL, so an onlus, no-profit organization, and we are 15 organizations from 12 countries in Europe. So there is also UK and Ireland. And last year we had 3 new members, so from Norway, Austria, and UK. And mainly our members are seed networks, seed savers from different national countries. So our main goal is really to encourage, develop, and promote the dynamic management of cultivated biodiversity. And all our members share that our food system are too uniform and that we really trust in food sovereignty. So our goal is to bring back this diversity from banks, gene banks, or institutional place back to the fields. So we really encourage this, this path. And we would like to be a sort of platform that promotes exchange and sharings of experience, point of view, and policies. So this is our main vision and mission. And we have two tools to do this. Is by the Let's Liberate Diversity meetings and forums, and by the Let's Cultivate Diversity meeting. Then since this year, we did also the LLD on air, because we had some problem with going with people together. So just quickly, the Let's Liberate Diversity are forums born in 2005, and we did at least 11 gatherings all over Europe. So there was also in Scotland at the Scottish Crafting Federation. Maria is here, and also also at the London Seed Festival in 2014. So there was a workshop. So there is an exchange, and there's a seed exchange, citizen awareness exchange, and showing biodiversity, and doing also open and technical meetings. So the different with the Let's Cultivate Diversity that we will have in the next June or October, we are organizing a meeting in Ireland. So just to let you inform that the first weekend or the second weekend of October, we are going to do a seed festival in Ireland. And this will be more concentrated in the processor part and in crops, like it's more a field moment, field days, showing community seed banks, and doing also technical workshop. So being a member is actually more for big seed savers or a seed network organization. But let's say that we really would like to arrive to also small initiative and try to help them to develop in this moment, as Sinead said at the beginning, that we want to go back to a human scale moment and not anymore an industrial agriculture. I would like to leave you with let you know these manuals that we have finished to written in last December, the first two. That is a technical manual, a series of 3 technical manuals for community seed banks that really help in what you were seeing also before. So establish management and governance of community seed banks, and probably one of the most interesting is documentation system. So a tool for data and information management. And the last one that we are writing right now is regulating access. So how community seed banks can play and take seed without breaking the law. So this is just part of the people that join our meeting, of course, the members. And just to show you quickly that you can download those manuals in our website. There is the established community seed bank all over Europe is a possible strategy. And here you can download for free those 2 manuals. Soon there will be also the 3rd one. Just to show you a part like this one is the second one. There is this issue that you were saying before about how to manage data, how to set up an Excel file, how to storage all the data. We brought the example of all our members. So this can be really helpful. This is the one of Prospecerara, Switzerland. It's really technical. It's really, really precise, but it's just to show and to exchange experiences. So I copy paste here the link. So you are able, if you would like to download it, and I put it in the chat. And thank you, and I'm really happy to be here the next 2 hours. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Matthias. So Katie had some issues with her mic, was kind of going in and out, so asked me to take over. I just wanted to check, can everyone hear me okay? It's better than when Katie was talking. Okay, so we're going to be breaking out into some breakout rooms. Obviously, there's 120 people here now. It's not the 300 that had originally signed up, but it's still far too many to have a real roundtable discussion here. So, okay. So Charlie, can you bring up the slide of the, is Charlie here? Yeah, Charlie, can you bring up the slide with the questions for the breakout rooms? People might want to get a pen and paper out just to.
We'll also be able to send all these questions into the breakout rooms with the magic of technology.
Well. So I was just introducing it really. So you're going to be broken up into smaller groups, and we want you guys to talk about what challenges has your group faced, how have you overcome them, what what do you wish you knew at the start of your journey? And what resources have you found useful? What resources or opportunities would you like to have? And then when you guys come back, which is going to be at 5, so it's going to be at 5 to 5, if you can put in just like one main point, the thing that you thought was most interesting or most intriguing from your breakout room, into the chat. And then obviously we won't have time to go through them all, but we'll pick out the ones that we see are most interesting or most poignant, and then get one person from that group to talk about that point. Is that clear for everybody? Yeah. Okay, then we should be able to break out into breakout rooms now.
Welcome back. Yeah, hopefully you had some fruitful discussions. So what we're going to ask now is we're going to do feedback on those 3 questions, and we'll do them one at a time. And what I'd like you all to think of is what is the most salient point from your discussion for each one of those questions. And then I'll ask you to put them in the chat. And then what we'll do is Charlie and Richie will be reading through them, and we'll call on a few people to elaborate to the group. And once again, I'm sorry if you don't all get a chance to speak, but obviously there's quite a lot of us in the room. So yeah, for people who are just arriving, I'll say that again, we're going to do the feedback now on the 3 questions. So the first question we're going to do feedback on is that challenges. So what challenges have you experienced as community seed initiatives, and what have you done to overcome those challenges? And if you'd be okay to write the most salient point in the chat box from that discussion around that question, and then we'll call on a few of you to elaborate. So again, that's what challenges have you faced and what did you do to overcome those challenges? Look.
Shall I start? Because I've seen one, distributing seeds during COVID. Let's start with the obvious. And what I'll just have to pick who that was. It was Global Gardens Project. Are you happy to speak to that?
Hi everyone. Yes. Yeah, we were talking about the challenge of distributing seeds. So, and yeah, some people were talking about posting seeds to people. Some other people were talking about using like community fridges, or some of the mutual aid support groups have set up like phone box distributing spaces. So we were talking about the idea of like creating some kind of seed unit within that, but some of the challenges around like keeping the seeds dry and like secure. So any ideas be welcome.
Okay, so I had one from Frauke from, I can't see the full name unfortunately, Granton Community Garden maybe, or project.
I've just unmuted you now if you want to elaborate.
So.
Yeah, I think this was particularly from, was it Adam, who is from Garden Organic, who was speaking about their heritage seed library that they've had since the 70s, where he was saying that sometimes people would donate seed and they wouldn't necessarily know whether that was genuinely a heritage variety or whether just something they found in their cupboard, basically. And if I remember correctly, I think they had some reference seed that they could compare it with, but maybe he can elaborate on that. And then another issue, I think one other person's challenge where I couldn't hear the sound very well, unfortunately, was she was trying to access seed from abroad, and that was sometimes quite difficult. And yeah, within our own project, we will probably come across the challenge of keeping seeds separate as well, or sort of plants separate, so they don't cross-pollinate.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
So Sega Shah, are you still there? I think I've seen, you may not be. There were a couple of people that put access to land.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself for some reason. Right, so I'm in the UK, but my interest is in India, especially for the last few years before lockdown as well, because of the issues with regards to the farmers. And very quickly, the issue is whether it's the Western Ghats or the northeast region of India and Jharkhand, which is one of my states. Of course, we have to think about seed preservation and seed sovereignty, but one of the bigger issues is one of my religious forests, which is becoming homed in on by mining companies. So as well as preserving the seeds, the people have to also make the case for preserving the land, because the land is being unlawfully taken by big mining companies, and how to actually stop that, because it's not just coal that is mined in Jharkhand, it's also lithium, it's bauxite, it's minerals that are fundamental for renewables. And when I've spoken to a lot of people in India, a lot of people have not seen the connection, because those people are on the supply side. When I'm telling them that these minerals are actually brought to the UK for my purpose, for a green lifestyle, then they start thinking that there is something wrong here. So it is tantamount to, I mean, it's difficult, but to actually preserve the land and make the case for the social impact of what is this land being taken for. And unfortunately, once that land is decimated, unfortunately, you know, the people are left with their own devices as to how they can actually use it now, because it's not usable. So that is a major challenge. And I'm also seeing the same things happening in the UK as well, because I've found mining companies actually looking for mining land to mine in the UK as well. And I think that is something that all seed savers and land companies should take heed of.
Yeah, important.
Lots of connections. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another person on challenges before we move on.
Yeah. So that's Rowan Lear from the Glasgow Seed Library is with us. Rowan?
Hey, yeah, we mostly talked about me, I'm afraid, in our breakout group. But one of the things, I guess a couple of the challenges that I found most significant in setting up and establishing Glasgow Seed Library was kind of access to growing space being very limited or very patchy throughout the city. Maybe unsurprisingly, a lot of people are in very kind of high density housing, and I guess connecting to what the last speaker was talking about, there's wider issues around that. So one of the things I'm kind of more involved in now is making sure that people in that kind of housing have access to growing space, or if new housing is being built, that growing space is provided for within that. And then the other thing is kind of people are so excited and so keen and just want to save seeds, and you know, they're really into it. I think people really, yeah, we're really, really keen and interested in the idea of it, but had started from a very, very low skill base. And I think a lot of people, of course, took up growing perhaps for the first time during lockdown, which is amazing. And it was wonderful to be able to offer seeds to people who weren't able to access them any other way. But it meant that seed saving itself is, you know, we're going to have to do some work to kind of develop skills and build knowledge, and I think share knowledge as well, because I think the knowledge is here, it's just, again, not distributed. So finding ways that that can happen, particularly in pandemic times, is quite difficult. It would be lovely to be having regular meetings in person around different plots, and maybe in a couple of years that will be possible. But yeah, that's the things I talked about mostly.
Thanks, Rowan. Yeah, so there's some serious challenges there from everyone. Maybe we should move on to the next question, which is, what do you wish you had known at the start when setting up your community seed initiative? So if anyone has any salient points on that, please put them in the chat. I'm sorry that this isn't a more kind of smooth running discussion, but because we've got 84 people in the room, we're going to have to do it this way via the chat. So keep putting your feedback in the chat, and we'll call on you to speak. So again, that's what do you wish you had known at the start of setting up your community seed initiative? We'll just wait for a few comments to come through. Or if you haven't set up a seed initiative, what do you wish you could know right now?
Sophia Doyle has a good point. Want to unmute yourself, Sophia?
Yeah. Bookkeeping, I think I was saying in the group, it kind of depends how much value you place on the true to typeness of your plants. If you're saving seed for the relationship with the plant, or then if you want to redistribute, how kind of making sure. So that was one problem with us in the beginning, is kind of tracing the incoming seed and making sure that the people who donated seed to us knew sort of the basics or understood the basics of seed saving in terms of isolation and making sure they didn't cross-pollinate and all the kind of technicalities, which we were also saying might be really scary for people who've never gone into seed saving before. So with us, that was solved with our magical Airtable, which is really handy for that, because people can basically tick all the boxes, like was it selected for health and vigor, and then you can kind of make sure they did or they didn't, and then you know how good the quality of the seed is, because the quality of the seed, besides the fact that it is a living plant, is you know, as good as the quality of the information that you get. So kind of tracing and tracking information, having some sort of filing system. It doesn't have to be a fancy data project, it can just be a filing system, but that's quite handy. Yeah.
Got new answers. Yeah, so Stuart from Incredible somewhere, I can't see the whole name, but would you like to say something about, you were saying confidence on ensuring seeds run true, but also deliberate cross-pollination. Are you there, Stuart?
I'm trying to unmute Stuart and it's not working. Can someone else try?
I can.
Here we go. It's allowed me. Yeah, we were all at the start of a journey. Most of us were growing vegetables. We did have the benefit of, I'm shocking on names and I can't see the faces on everybody's face on the screen all at once. But we had a lady who had done some seed saving before, which was helpful. But we were unsure about starting a group, not having confidence that what we were going to grow next year from collected seed would grow true enough to actually share and give away. And so we had quite a useful discussion about maybe getting started with beans and tomatoes and absolutely avoiding squash as a starting point. We also had a Lincolnshire grain farmer who I think was called Peter, who was quite interested in developing like a landrace type seed, a locally suited seed, but is stuck with a commercial seed at the moment and not really knowing where to start. So that was quite interesting as well as to how, you know, so specifically with how to deliberately cross-pollinate to get something that might be a bit more suited locally. And that was as much about cereals as about vegetables. But I noticed that Andrew Whiteley somewhere in the chat room, and so maybe Peter could reach out to Andrew and maybe they could connect over some wheat grains there.
Thanks, Stuart. Katie, do we have time for one more on this question?
Yeah, one more on this question, yeah.
Yeah, Julia, and all I can see is bank had, and then it's ... But Julia, if you'd unmute yourself.
That's a very good point. The Seed Library, yeah. I think you should have the power to unmute.
Yes, we didn't have many people who were already doing a lot of seed saving. We spent quite a bit of time talking about how we organised seed swaps this year in the light of COVID, and the challenges of that, because I think for most of us this year will be the first time we're trying to do seed swaps under COVID restrictions, certainly in the UK. And we talked a bit about whether it would be possible to manage things by post, whether trying to do it outdoors would work. We ran out of time, of course. I don't know if anyone else from Group 7 wants to come in and add something. There was a lot of concern about seed groups being perceived as being irresponsible by bringing people together to share seeds, but we were also talking about how when you actually go to a seed swap, it's very different from just leafing through a catalogue and saying, oh, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, I'll buy that. You actually end up thinking much more about the seeds you're actually going to take and whether you're going to grow them and whether they're going to suit you.
Thanks. Yeah, and there is time for another comment on this question, Charlie.
So sorry, I think yeah, so lack of awareness from, oh no, that was Jeff. Yes. Was it you that spoke earlier, Jeff?
In this room, I don't think I have.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that there is a real lack of awareness. People don't realize how important this whole thing is about seed, and how, you know, without seed sovereignty, we have no food sovereignty. And people don't even understand the difference between open pollinated and hybrid. So I think education is really at the basis. You know, if it could be got into schools, and even if these things could be mentioned in passing, it would really help going forward. You know, I don't know who's involved in any educational projects apart from yourself, Katie, around seed sovereignty.
So, I mean, I was going to shout out at the end, I'll shout out quickly now as well, the UK Seed Sovereignty Programme that we work for, and we will paste the website into the chat. We're running seed production training across the UK, and this year it's remote because obviously we can't join together physically. So you can go on our website and you can look for your local regional coordinator. You can contact us, and there should be some opportunities for seed production training and seed sovereignty training in your area. So please do definitely check out our website. Yeah, and I know there are other people running seed production training too, to the chat. And that actually leads us nicely onto the final question, which is what resources have you found useful? So yeah, that could include training as well. So if you'd like to start putting your most salient points about resources that you found useful in the chat, and again, we'll just call on a few of you to elaborate. Yeah. Do you want to kick us off with someone?
Well, a lot of people are mentioning, I won't call on them individually, but just mentioning Sue Stickland's book, Back Garden Seed Saving, seems to be coming up again and again. And I highly recommend that. That's really great for, yeah, a couple of people holding them up to the camera now as we speak. You can pick those up at a couple of different online bookshops. Really great book, especially for small scale allotment, backyard. It has it all in a very easy to read format. Charlie, do you want to pick one, or will I go?
Sure. Yeah, so Robin from the Seed Sovereignty Campaign, do you want to say something?
I've unmuted you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Robin. I'm the Southwest Regional Coordinator for Gaia Seed Sovereignty Programme, and I grower in the Southwest. And in our group, we were several of us who are involved in community seed networks or seed banks or seed programs are saying one of the biggest barriers, and then obviously there was about our kind of lack of self-confidence. Really, a lot of people were very anxious or cautious, or felt that they just wouldn't be able to save seed. And then what turned out to be one of the greatest resources was each other, and sharing those stories of being afraid and feeling that you couldn't do it, and then sharing those stories of when you did do it or when you did fail and how you got over it. So the resource of that network established by Gaia Foundation was actually became one of the greatest resources. So having that network in that community and having that sense of a space to come together and share your stories and support each other, and that kind of peer-to-peer learning and mentoring was amazing.
Amazing. Thanks.
Then Raluca from Eco Rural, I'm guessing. All I have is rural. You want to unmute yourself and talk?
Okay, now it works. I wasn't able to unmute myself. I would say that in our case, Peasant Association from Romania, it was really helpful for younger peasants, for example, to take part in practical workshops, and also to participate at gardens, to see exactly how some plants accompany one another, how they can start saving with at least one seed, not with dozens of seeds, as more experienced small-scale farmers. And I think generally peer-to-peer education is very important, and it brings a lot of enthusiasm and inspiration to people, because when another peasant, as we call them here in Romania, explains to another one, it can share also the story behind that seeds, the agroecological practices that come together with cultivating and saving those seeds. So usually, of course, and outside the COVID-19 pandemic, demonstrative gardens, I think they were very powerful tool.
Great, thank you.
What, another one?
Yeah, we've got time for more.
Great. So there's a really interesting one here from Beppy and Ewan. Are you able to unmute and talk about your exciting project? I'll have a look, see if I can find you.
I've got you.
Yeah, hello, thank you. Sorry about the name, it's actually Becky, it's my Zoom that glitched a little bit. So I set up a not-for-profit called Give Two Figs, which is all about kind of raising money to help people understand what to grow when and harvest when, and then put that money into growing projects. But through these discussions, I've kind of been thinking about the potential, if funding is a potential barrier or something that could be overcome or helped in some way, I'd be more than happy to work with people to put together some other educational art around seed saving, so that you could actually use that as a saleable product to then kind of to sell it, so people can actually use the actual product and enjoy that as a learning tool, but also to raise funds for seed projects. Just an idea. If anyone was interested in following that up, I'll pop my email in the chat.
Amazing offer.
I imagine you'll get lots of emails.
Definitely put your details in the chat. You'll be overwhelmed. Yeah. Yeah, we still have a couple more minutes for feedback. Richie or Charlie, do you want to call on someone else?
So Debbie has a nice comment to make. Debbie, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, I made a couple of comments, so I'm not sure which one. I found going to Seedy Sunday in Brighton was kind of my first introduction to seed saving and the power of, you know, people doing it en masse as a community. And I know Anton's here from Garden Organic, but I used to work with Anton, and the information I picked up from Garden Organic and the Heritage Seed Library, a lot of which is available on the website, is amazing. And also places like Real Seed, Vital Seed, and the London Freedom Seed Bank. It's just, you know, the information's out there. It's sort of tracking it down really, and just spending a bit of time reading it. But I haven't read any of the books, so I will definitely look up the book that people were talking about. Thanks.
Thanks, Deb. People again to the Seed Sovereignty website, where we have like some resources pages, and if there's things that you guys have just fed back to us that aren't on there, we'd love to add them, because we'd love that website to be a place that everybody can come to share seed saving and seed organizing resources. So definitely check out our website, and we'll try to include things that have been said. So for the last bit of this session, we have a couple of questions that we wanted to ask you all together, and one of them is, how can our UK and Ireland Seed Sovereignty Programme better support you guys, because you're obviously doing the seed work on the ground, and we're here to kind of support with networking and training and maybe other things, but we really want to know, like, how can we better support like a vibrant seed movement in the UK. So if you and start typing into the chat, and again, I'm sorry this is clunky, but it's just like an easier way for us to call on people. If you have any ideas, then please put them in the chat, and we maybe just ask a couple of you if you want to speak. And then also, because we're coming to the end, if there's anybody here who hasn't spoken and really has like a burning thing they want to say, feel free to also put that in the chat, because I know we haven't heard from everyone. So maybe put a star and say, I really want to say this, and then we'll just call on a few more of you. But yeah, really wanting to hear like how can the Seed Sovereignty Programme support all of these amazing seed initiatives better. And yeah, is there anything coming, Charlie or Richie?
Not just, sorry, I'm a bit distracted because I've just learned how to save the chat. Just for the purposes of, we'll be able to hopefully collate some of this information.
Nice.
Not sure how, but I think hopefully a lot of it will go on the Seed Sovereignty website. So the Gaia Seed Sovereignty website, because there's loads of information and brilliant links. So thanks to everyone for sharing.
So Gabriel K has just come in talking about the seed co-op. Maybe you want to talk to everyone, Gabriel? Just unmute yourself. Yeah. You're still muted, Gabriel. Yeah,
that's it. Hi. Just to say that the seed cooperative that's in Lincolnshire is working with biodynamic and organic seeds that are grown by seed growers around the UK, and has been importing organic and biodynamic seed from the continent as well, which is currently on hold due to all the changes of regulations that are still not clear, particularly the phytosanitary regulations, which are very unclear at the moment. So they are doing fantastic work. Their demand went up absolutely massively at the beginning of lockdown, and it is still way, way above what it was in the last few years. They're a really young company. They're a cooperative, and people can buy shares to help support them, because they've still got a large loan from the startup of buying the site and getting the whole thing going. So if you're looking for really good seed, they have really good seed. It's properly tested for growing quality and so on, but they're also looking for support. So if you are a really good seed grower and you would like to work with them, do contact them. If you're interested and have skills for being on the board of directors, I am part of the BDA and currently on their appointments board to help find new directors. And we're looking for people with business skills, with seed regulation skills, seed growing skills, communications and fundraising skills to complement the team that are there. So it's a really important coordination, community-owned organization that everyone can get involved in, even if it's only buying a share or buying a few seeds from them. But if you want seeds for this year, get in soon, because they're running out of several sorts. But yeah, it's a fantastic organization, and it complements what the local seed banks can do. So it's really good to work together between local seed banks and them, and share skills and so on.
Amazing.
So,
good shout out, thank you. So yeah, the seed cooperative, and also in the Seed Sovereignty Programme, we also work closely with Vital Seeds and Real Seeds. So three amazing open pollinated ecological seed companies that are very understanding of seed sovereignty and yeah, working with community seed initiatives.
Yeah, Real Seed are in Wales, and Vital Seeds are in Devon.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing. So we're coming to the end of this session. Thanks for bearing with us through lots of technological difficulties at the beginning. One final thing I'd like to get feedback on, and I'd like to ask you to either just put thumbs up if your camera's on, or use the little reactions at the bottom, is would it be useful to have more regular meetups like this for seed initiatives across the UK and Ireland? And if it would, we can facilitate those as the Seed Sovereignty Programme, but I'd like to see like who would be interested. Great, I can see quite a lot of thumbs up. Brilliant. Okay, so it seems like yeah, there's an appetite for more like discussion together and skill sharing and knowledge sharing like this. So Charlie, can you share the final slide? Because I just want to do shout outs for how
I can do that. Just be a sec.
So basically, the best way is because of the GDPR, ORFC cannot share all of your details with us. So the best way for you to stay connected with us is to go onto our website, which Charlie's just going to pull up on the screen. It's seedsovereignty.org. So we're, yeah, the UK and Ireland Seed Sovereignty Programme. If you connect with us through our website, you'll be able to find your local regional coordinator. So then you can kind of link in with the trainings and the events that we're organising. And like I just said, we will try to organise more of these online kind of gatherings of seed initiatives so that we can continue to share information and work together. So please do get in touch with us and get in touch with your local seed sovereignty coordinator so you can be linked into what we're doing. We have our Seed Week coming up next week, which is the 18th to the 22nd of January. And that is a big kind of awareness raising thing about the importance of seed sovereignty and the importance of like locally adapted, ecologically grown seed. So please link in with us on social media. We'll be releasing articles and videos, and we've also got an event which is called Our Seeds Are Our Stories, and hopefully someone can post a link for that in the chat now, or again you can find it on our website. So please come to that event and we'll be having people talking about their seed stories. Please check out our articles that we'll be releasing and kind of share all the things that we're putting out there for Seed Week next week to kind of spread the message on seed sovereignty. And then, as previously mentioned, we do have seed production trainings, and some of these still have places available. So again, I'm going to refer you back to our website, seedsovereignty.info, it says on here. So yeah, we'll put that in the chat. And like, please go to our website and you can sign up for seed sovereignty or seed production training. And finally, a seed gathering in autumn. We would love for it to be in person. I really hope it will be in person, but if not, it will be online. And it will be a big gathering and celebration of seed and seed diversity, and a chance to have like much more in-depth discussions on all of this stuff. So please, again, link in with us on that, and let's build a stronger network. Appreciate your input and feedback. Yeah, I'd love to hear more from all of you. So yeah, thanks. And Charlie, if you stop, then to everyone. Thanks. Session. Keep in touch.